Alright, so let's get to the reality of this shit. A lot of people ask me, why do I do the shit that I do? And we talk about this G code, right? Like this code that men have about not telling, not snitching, you know, don't give all of the man's secrets away. Okay, so now we're going to get to the reality of the G code. Right now, this very second, while I'm making this video, there's a young lady that's on her knees being forced to suck some stranger's dick with mascara and tears running down her eyes, with her lips bruised and her mouth busted open because of the so-called quote-unquote G code. Or how about the little girl that was just molested and raped by her uncle, you know, that famous uncle that everybody know, but because of her adolescence and her troubled errors when she was young, because of the so-called G code and the parents and everything else that tends to neglect that child, she's afraid to tell her families what, you know, our favorite uncle did to her. Or how about the wife with the husband that neglects her, that's paying attention to the outside woman because he was never raised to truthfully treat his woman right? Because he's always had that G code mentality. He's always had that I'm gonna have something on the side mentality. So now this woman, this wife, this mother has stepped outside of her home and taken it to another level. But little did she know, the level that she took it to ended up getting her taken advantage of and raped. But who can she tell? The one person who she married in confidence, she's afraid to go back to, because that's what drove her to the point of stepping outside of her home. And now she was just raped, she was just a victim, but she has no one to tell, because again, this man is not a man. And then you niggas ask me why I do the shit that I do. Or better yet, how about that prostitute? Everyone's always calling these prostitutes crackhead assholes and these, you know, these bitches, and looking at these hoes out here on the street. How do we know that these women didn't start taking on to drugs because they had to be numb to the shit that they had to do? Imagine someone violating you. Imagine someone holding their force over you right now and forcing you to have sex, to be violated, to do all types of malicious acts. And then the very thing that you sold your soul for, the very thing that you gave your body up for, is taken without resentment from you. How do you feel worth anything? So to numb the pain, of course, they self-medicate, they take drugs, they get high, they drink liquor, but after a while, the weed and alcohol is not enough. So they turn to a harder drug. They get on meth, they get on crack, they get on cocaine. And then we drive by in our nice whips and shit in our fancy cars, and we want to talk down on them. But little do you know, the way that us niggas is acting, the way that the mentality of the people and the shit that we doing is destroying our women, destroying our future, and it's just an ongoing cycle. And then you want to ask me, why the fuck am I doing this shit? That's crazy to me. Imagine being violated. Imagine being raped. And on your way home, the semen of this man who just violated you was a constant reminder of what he's done to you. Every time you feel that shit dripping down your leg, you're crying in tears, you're in fear, you're afraid to tell someone, and you have to live with that shit for the rest of your life. So guess what? You resent men. And then a couple months later, you find out you're pregnant from this incident, and the very child that you give birth to, if you decide to give birth to that child, is a male. So guess what? Now we have a woman that resents men, that's raising a male. How do you think that young man is going to grow up? Or she decides to abort the child, and now she's in a mental depression. She's in an emotional depression, and guess what? She has no one to seek to because she's afraid to share and give her experiences out. Again, and then y'all ask me, why the fuck do I do this shit? Why do I care so much about our women? Why do I give a fuck about empowering people? And why do I take it to the level that I take it to? Because every single person counts. There's a young lady and a young man right now sitting inside of their home that is thinking about suicide to this very fucking day, with a knife or with a gun or with a razor, because no one knows how to love them. They have never truthfully been loved. They've been cheated on. They've been abused. They've been mentally, emotionally, and physically raped by their so-called loved ones and spouses. And guess what? We don't give a fuck. None of us really give a fuck. We overlook them every day. So they smile in front of us just to get by, to go to work and do what they got to do. But behind the scenes, they want to kill themselves. And then you ask me, why do I do this shit? Right? Or better yet, what about the moms again? What about the fathers? What about the men? What about the men that are being raised by the women that are resentful to men? The little boys where their moms is telling them that, hey, I'm mom and dad, and this little boy don't understand. How are you mom and dad? Because these women don't understand and know, I will never be a father. Your father decided to walk away from you and explain to this child the truth of what's going on. because of your mistakes, because you rushed, because you went out there and had sex too early. Now you resent the man, but the reality is you should resent your actions. You shouldn't resent the man. And you guys ask me, why do I do this shit? I don't do this shit for likes. I do this shit to give knowledge. I do this shit to empower you to not necessarily hate men or hate women. It's not about being gay. It's about making right choices. It's about seeing somebody who's going through something and helping them out and letting them know, look, love, it's going to be okay. You don't have to take your life. Today, somewhere in the United States, in the world, a father and his kids came home to a woman on the ground dead, slit her wrist, on the floor, corpse cold. But the fucked up part about it is, guess what they saw? They saw her cheeks wet because she was crying before she decided to commit that act. But ask yourself, where was her husband at? What the fuck was it that she couldn't tell him? The one man that she married, that she confined to, that she could not express him, or she could not express herself to where she felt like she had to take her life to get away from the pain. Why didn't he comfort her better? Why wasn't he truthfully there for her? And some of you cats on my page are sitting up here talking about what I'm doing and I'm fucking up the game, but you cats have daughters. So let's take a step back to the first thing I said, the little girl that's on her knees being forced to suck a man's dick right now. And let's put your daughters in her place and tell me about this fucking G code. Is it really the G code? Fuck your G code, truthfully, bruh. I don't understand that G code. The G code that I live by is just honor, respect, and loyalty to all, dog. You treat the game how you want to be treated. So you mean to tell me that you manipulate, you deceive, and you trick these women to get things from them, but you don't know how you're leaving them to be damaged? Not only are these women raising these young men, but they're raising these little girls. And if damaged women are raising little girls, some of them are damaging and raising damaging little girls. And then we wonder why this cycle doesn't end. When I was growing up, there was a war against drugs, but there's no war against self-violence. There's no act for self-empowerment. At the end of the day, stop fucking asking me why do I do this shit and start helping me do this shit. I do this shit because this shit is real out here, bruh. This shit is fucked up. It's some folks that's going through some shit. It's some folks that need us, man. Individually, they need us. So I really wish some of you characters would grow the fuck up, stop complaining, stop tripping, stop talking about what I'm doing, stop making me sound like a bad person. When I don't give a fuck, I'm not going to stop. I'm going to continue to go hard and do what I do. But at the end of the day, anybody and everybody has ever experienced anything that I said, I apologize for your loss. I apologize for your pain, and I truthfully wish I could take it all back. But since I can't, the only thing I can do is let you know, look, we love you. If no one else has ever loved you, we loved you. And we will continue to love you. We'll continue to empower you. We'll continue to support you. You guys have a blessed night. And remember, stop asking why and start committing to helping out. Because that's what it's about. Moving forward and truthfully being there for someone next to you. I love you all.